when they tried to flee the clown, because it started chasing them like a madman.
Badass clown, bro.
With no other option, the driver was forced to press the pedal to the metal and hope for the best.
Oh shit! Max, I sharded so hard, it felt like the ocean flowing right down. What? Just barely? Everyone go sub to Mr. Nightmare. We got unnerving encounters on roads at night. There are 7 instances of unexplainable, shocking, and disturbing happenings on the road at night. I think there's footage. Those are the best Mr. Nightmare videos. I like the ones with the footage. Cause people can fake shit now. You can do a prompt synopsis in ChatGPT and you can get a mean ass story. You can get a really good story going, for sure.
On the night of April 18th, 2021, at around 7:40 p.m., an Australian man named Mitch Cooney was driving down the Hume Highway in Bardia, Australia. He was returning from a racing event and heading home to Gold Coast City, when, completely out of nowhere, he saw a childlike figure standing in the middle of the road. The figure was wearing a blue parka.
That shit looked like a Pixar cutout. Look at that fake ass shadow. Real or fake, chat?
Like he was trying to cross the highway. Now, Mitch was driving at nearly 60 miles an hour, or around 96 kilometers per hour. He was also towing a large toy hauler behind his car. Trying to brake or suddenly move out of the way in these conditions would have certainly resulted in a devastating accident, so Mitch had no choice but to keep driving. Fortunately, he managed to avoid the mysterious figure by mere inches. Fearing the safety of a potential child wandering the Hume Highway, his mother, who was also with him at the time, contacted the Australian police almost seconds later. The officers online assured...
Is that a demon? Or a good spirit? Bro, that was a Pixar transparent cutout, dog. What the fuck was that? That wasn't even AI, that was like a... Someone dragged that shit in Splice.
Them that they were putting patrols out immediately. However, Mitch couldn't stop thinking about what he saw. Trying to do everything he could, he called the police again at 8:29 p.m. and offered the dashcam footage he'd captured of this figure. But to Mitch's surprise, the officers told him that they swept the area and actually found a young child matching the description he provided, and that he was being returned to his home as they spoke. What a child was doing in the middle of a highway at night, miles from the nearest civilization, was still a big mystery.
Is it an actual
but
child?
At least he was safe now. As Mitch put it on Facebook later that night, I felt absolutely sick when all this happened. I instantly felt so much better when I was told the kid had been collected. However...
It was an actual kid? What the fuck? Oh, I thought you were insinuating... I was saying it was fake. Whose fucking parents? Are they in Child Protective Services? They better have not been collected by their parents. The fuck? Or were they being babysat? Oh, hell no.
Just when Mitch thought everything worked out okay, things took a wild turn. After confirming that the kid was safe, Mitch uploaded the video from his dashcam onto the internet, hoping to share the unnerving encounter he had with others.
So he got a blankie?
But as the video and his story gained traction, the New South Wales Police Department came forward and announced that they didn't find any child on the highway that night, completely contradicting what they had told Mitch that night. According to the official report, they scoured the surrounding area for nearly 8 hours, searching until 3:45 a.m. before finally calling it off and finding no trace of a child nearby. The department stated that multiple cars attended and commenced a search of the area. However, no child was located and the search concluded. Now, there's no reason to believe that the NSW police would lie on an official report like this. What's more likely is that the person talking to Mitch earlier didn't know the full details and just made things up.
I don't trust his ass. What the fuck? I trust the police. What? Yeah.
The person talking to Mitch earlier didn't know the full details and just made things up. Or maybe it was nothing more than a terrible case of miscommunication, where the police searching for the child somehow got twisted into them already having found him. But if the child was never found, what happened to him? The answer to that question, however, could be anything.
Does not look like
Maybe
a child.
His parents noticed their kid missing and took him back home. Or he could have been potentially kidnapped by someone who saw a child roaming the highway alone at night and took advantage of the opportunity. So none of those theories explain how the child got to that spot in the first place. Unfortunately, the case remains an unsolved mystery to this day, and with so little coverage, it's unlikely we'll get answers anytime soon.
Bro, wait. I thought it was confirmed there was a child. Bro, I don't gamble or play CS. So was there a cross confirmation that there was a child? Dashcam footage shows a blue figure. Motorist has claimed he narrowly missed a preschooler on a busy highway. Okay. Police said they searched the area until early hours but could not find a child. So he either got, or where the fuck is he? Did they just stop? It went cold. Wow.
On May 8th, 2021, TikToker Pissed Pasta, real name Malie Perales, was returning from a night out with her friends and roommates around 2:30 a.m. However, what was supposed to be a fun hangout took a disturbing turn when, while driving down the Packard Drive Northeast Road next to the Rogue River in Belmont, Michigan, one of them spotted a shadowy figure crawling onto the road.
What
Lock
the
in.
Stop. No,
Stop.
I'm not. No. Hell no.
What the dude?
Bro. They were soaked.
After
Soaked?
discussing for a bit, the group decided to circle back and check what it was. And this is what they came across.
They were wet?
There she is.
Bro. What the
That was the second time they went about.
See? That was it. That was it. She's crying.
That was it? That was a person, bro.
It looked like a young woman, possibly in her 20s or 30s, sitting on the road while either waving at the car or banging her own head. She was also drenched from head to toe in 48° Fahrenheit or about 9° Celsius weather.
It was
Malie's
cold?
group circled back one more time to confirm what they saw, and this
Wait, he said Celsius for... Bro, I don't know what that means. I just drink it. What? How many degrees?
She was also drenched from head to toe in 48° Fahrenheit or about 9° Celsius weather.
Yeah, I was tripping.
Malie's group
48
circled back
degrees?
one more time to confirm what they saw, and this time the woman had completely collapsed onto the road. By this point, Malie and her friends had realized that this woman was likely in dire need of medical assistance.
Satanic
But
ritual?
there was also a chance that this was a setup for a robbery. So they made the smart choice and called 911 without getting out of their car.
Yeah, because you gotta feel bad. You're like, dude, it's cold as fuck. Why are they wet? But then, nah, that'd be trash bait. Because who would want someone wet as hell up in their car? Huh? And like the chances of someone just having a towel on him, I guess? I don't
The
know.
first responders and the police arrived shortly after and took her to a nearby hospital. Malie returned to the spot they found her a few hours later, and it was
Still
still
wet?
wet from the water dripping from her
Ew.
clothes. More importantly, she also found dig marks on the roadside near the river, suggesting that the woman had likely fallen in and swam out onto the road just minutes before Malie's group passed by.
She did
After
cold
some
plunge?
investigation, the police also found her car parked behind a house near the river. In other words, she most likely fell into the river on the east side and managed to swim all the way across to the other side. Inquiring about her in the Facebook group for this neighborhood also revealed that she had actually interacted with some of the residents earlier that day, though her interactions were unnerving to say the least. Saw this person between Van Dam and Packer Woods around 10:15 p.m. Friday. Asked her if she needed help, to which she responded no.
Yeah, she's locked in.
Another quote. There's another report by a guy on Douglas
they
Street
kidnapped
on the
her.
Westsiders uniforms page who had a similar situation with a woman walking into his home this week. She walked right into someone's house yelling, "Hello, hello, hello," then just left. She was wandering the backyard too. Though who she was and how she ended up there is still a mystery. Over the next few days, she recovered enough to tell investigators that she was from Kalamazoo, a town that's over 60
Fuck is
miles away from where she
Kalamazoo?
was found. But she didn't have any memory of ever driving to Belmont, which sounds strange at first, but actually has a surprisingly plausible explanation. You see, this woman was a 28-year-old Chinese student named May, who went missing from Kalamazoo on May 6th, 2 days before she was discovered in Belmont. Before going missing, she also told her friends that she felt like she had a stalker. Upon hearing this, one of the first theories that comes to mind is that maybe she was kidnapped and then thrown into the river by this stalker. But it's important to note that according to the few witnesses in the police investigation, she drove to Belmont on her own. It's unclear whether this stalker was even real or not. However, the stress of feeling like she was constantly being watched likely messed with her mental state and triggered a dissociative fugue state, which, for those who don't know, is a mental condition where the person forgets who they are and often starts doing things they otherwise wouldn't do. Some even go as far as moving to other cities and building new lives before they snap
water
out of
was
the
that
state
cold?
and come to their senses. What makes this already unsettling condition even worse is that the patient usually doesn't remember what they did during that fugue state either, and that's what likely happened to May. She got stressed, went into a fugue state, wandered around in her car for a couple of days, and eventually ended up in the river. Fortunately, she was able to come to her senses and swim to the shore before losing her life.
While sober? Yo, did he just say she lost her life? The person that was doing this on the side of the road died, and that was May. Bro, I'm not listening. He just said, bro, huh?
What likely happened to May? She got stressed, went into a fugue state, wandered around in her car for a couple of days, and eventually ended up in the river. Fortunately, she was able to come to her senses and swim to the shore before losing her life.
Huh? So they took her in. Wait, it's basically saying she snapped out of it in time to not die. It's worded weird. Aight, bro. So he's farming. He was shock farming. I was like, did I miss something? She died? Hypothermia? It's worded weird? Okay.
And swim to the shore before losing her life. On the 12th of October 2016, a family in Sheffield, England went to the Drawbridge pub for a night out, and after an evening of fun and laughter, they decided to head back home at around midnight. The roads in that area are usually deserted at that hour, so they were already on guard for any robbers or other criminals they might run into on their way back. However, nothing in the world could have prepared them for what they came across just 5 minutes later. Seconds after they rounded the corner to the Grange Mill Lane Road, a man dressed in a clown costume jumped out from the shadows and blocked the road, forcing the driver to stop. He then started waving at the car, and as soon as it came to a full stop, he started running towards it while still blocking the path forward. When the driver tried to reverse his car and go the other way, the clown started sprinting at full speed. Typically, something like this could be dismissed as just some troll or a YouTuber making a scaring people at night as a clown video, especially given that this was 2016. However, due to an incident that happened just 3 days earlier, the driver of this car had no choice but to assume the worst. You see, on October 9th,
did he hit him?
Around 8:45 p.m., a man named Simon Chinnery was attacked by a knife-wielding clown in public. Fortunately, the attacker was apprehended before he could do any lethal damage to Simon. Sadly, Simon still suffered multiple slashes to his right hand, leaving it permanently disfigured to the point of being classified as a disability.
So that clown was just itching to shank someone. Just the first person he saw, he's like, you're getting stabbed. There's no way. That was not. That clown was trying to take him out. And then that other clown, nah. Just keep driving and see if he touches the car, and if he does, yeah.
Worse than the attack itself was that it went viral and started a craze of thousands of others trying to imitate the attacker. In some parts of the country, the police departments were receiving as many as 23 reports of people threatening others dressed as clowns per day. And while many of these imitators were nothing more than trolls who had no real intentions of harming others,
don't touch the car.
There were those who took things too far, with some trying to force their way into people's cars and chasing women and children with knives. So for this driver to see a man in a clown costume blocking their car while all this was going on had to be deeply unnerving for him. Their fear became worse when they tried to flee the clown, because it started chasing.
That weak ass running form. I would not be scared. He's yo.
Going on had to be deeply unnerving for him. Their fear became worse when they tried to flee the clown, because it started chasing them like a madman.
Badass clown, bro.
With no other option, the driver was forced to press the pedal to the metal and hope for the best, with the clown jumping out of the way at the last second. This entire situation could have just as easily ended with the clown losing his life if he had even been a fraction of a second slower to jump away.
Why do you edit that?
On the other hand, who knows what the attacker might have done if the driver hadn't sped off.
Did Mr. Nightmare put him? Bro, that's too funny.
This entire situation could have...
It's his body, bro. What? He's just laid flat, bro.
Just as easily ended with the clown losing his life if he had even been a fraction of a second slower to jump away. On the other hand, who knows what the attacker might have done if the driver hadn't sped off.
Dude, they don't give a fuck. They were trying to go home.
On June 2nd, 2018, one of the officers for Fulshire Police Department in Texas was driving back to the station after his shift, when suddenly he saw the car in front of him swerve onto the next lane to avoid hitting something. But this wasn't a tree branch or an animal. Instead, it was something that looked like the aftermath of either a horrific crime or an accident.
Oh shit.
A young woman in a blue shirt was lying down horizontally across the road and was completely still, suggesting that she was either unconscious or dead. Maybe someone decided to dump the body in the middle of the road after committing the crime. Fortunately, when the officer walked up to her, she not only responded to him, but even stood up on her own. As it turned out, she had driven her car into the ditch next to the road just minutes earlier.
Oh my god.
Later tests also discovered an extremely high blood alcohol concentration in her system. Put simply, she was driving under the influence and ended up crashing into the side.
So what was she trying to do?
The concussion from the accident, combined with her prior intoxication, made her behave
Did she fly out of the car? I didn't see the car anywhere near her, bro.
extremely irrationally, which is why she walked up to the road and lay down without a care in the world. It's nothing short of a miracle that the car in front of the officer was able to spot and avoid her in time, or she would have ended up as nothing more than a cautionary tale about driving under the influence. On the night of February 26, 1946, 25-year-old Jimmy Hollis and his girlfriend Mary Jean were returning to their homes in Texarkana, Texas after watching a movie together. But before they reached the city limits, Jimmy stopped the car on the side of the road to extend their date for a short while. What neither of them knew, however, was that this little detour would nearly cost them their lives. About 10 minutes after they had stopped, a man came out of the nearby woods and approached the car. He was wearing a white pillowcase over his head with 2 small holes for eyes. The rest of his face was completely hidden from view. He told Jimmy to get out of the car, but Jimmy initially believed that this was a prank of sorts and didn't pay much attention to it. The masked man then pulled out his firearm and pointed it towards the couple, stating, "I don't want to kill you, fella, just do what I say." Understanding the gravity of the situation, Jimmy got out of the car as the masked man instructed. As soon as he did, the man swung his weapon at Jimmy's head, knocking him unconscious.
What was the prompt for this?
Mary tried to run away into the woods, but the man caught up and did the same to her. Thankfully, before he could go further, he got spooked by a set of approaching headlights on the nearby road and ran away. Mary immediately ran to the nearest house and asked them to call the police. Jimmy also regained consciousness and hailed down a passing car to ask for help. However, by the time the police arrived on the scene to investigate, the man had vanished without a trace. Jimmy and Marie were taken to the hospital where it was discovered that the strike had fractured Jimmy's skull in multiple places. Fortunately, he was able to recover without any lasting injuries and describe what he remembered from that night. Both he and Mary gave the same statements about the overall build of the masked man, that he was around 6 feet tall and fairly slender. But for some reason, the two couldn't agree on his ethnicity. Jimmy insisted that he was a Caucasian, while Mary stayed adamant that he was of African origin. This contradiction, along with the seemingly unprovoked nature of the incident, led investigators to incorrectly believe the couple knew the man.
Did he have gloves on though? Oh, what the fuck? What is this? Is this new? Did he have gloves on though? And I think the dude that got knocked out would know what ethnicity is. She's assuming, bro. That's outrageous.
To protect him. What they didn't realize was that while Jimmy and Mary survived to give a description, the next couple wouldn't be as fortunate. About a month later, March 24th, a man was driving down a secluded road on the outskirts of Texarkana when he noticed a car parked on the road ahead. From a distance, it looked like a young man was sleeping in that car, slumped over on the steering wheel. However, as the driver got closer, he suspected that something wasn't right, so he pulled over to the side and walked up to the other car to try to wake him up, only to come to a scene far more horrific than he could have ever imagined. Put simply, the young man had already passed away long before the driver stumbled across him. He also noticed a woman in the backseat who had sadly suffered the same fate. Police were called to the scene, and they quickly identified the two as Richard Griffin and his girlfriend Polly Ann Moore. Both were killed with shots to the head. Unfortunately, the only evidence investigators were able to gather from the crime scene was a single .32 caliber cartridge. And while they didn't know it at this point, this incident was also the doing of the same man Jimmy and Mary had encountered a month earlier. How do you know, Mr. Reimer? The police finally made this connection on April 14th when another couple encountered the same man while on an isolated road, and they were killed with a firearm of the same caliber. News of these 3 incidents quickly spread through Texarkana, putting all the residents on high alert. Fearing for their safety, most residents stopped driving at night entirely, while the remaining made sure to avoid empty roads at all costs. The masked man was also given the name of the Texarkana Phantom due to his inability to appear and disappear without a trace. And true to his name, he was becoming harder to track with each passing day, even after the FBI got involved. After 2 more months of fruitless searching, one of the investigators noticed that the vehicles were stolen shortly before each incident and were found abandoned not long after. Following this lead led to a man named Ewell Swinney, a car thief with 2 felonies to his name already. His height and build matched what Jimmy and Mary had described earlier. More importantly, when an officer tried to arrest him for the 3rd time for car theft, he claimed that he knew that the officer wanted him for more than stealing cars.
How do you know it was him, though? He was just wearing a mask and he's the same height? Bro, they didn't know shit before forensic files. They were just straight guessing. Look at...
Unfortunately, investigators weren't able to find any evidence linking Ewell directly to the 3 haunting road encounters.
How?
Luckily, his prior felonies allowed prosecutors to give the harshest punishment for his 3rd theft-related offense and sentenced him to life in prison.
Oh, shit.
That being said, Ewell continued to deny any involvement in the 3 incidents until his end in 1994.
What was the evidence? What? To give him life? What if he didn't do that shit?
Leaving the Texarkana Phantom encounters a somewhat unresolved mystery to this day.
Was he the Texarkana Phantom?
On the 8th of January 2024, a truck driver was driving on a remote stretch of highway in Western Australia when at around 11 p.m., this driver had the most unnerving road encounter of his life. Nearly 62 miles south of Perth, he saw what looked like 2 people dragging something across the highway.
What the fuck?
They showed up almost out of nowhere, forcing the truck driver to swerve around them at a dangerous speed. But by the time he stopped the truck and looked back, they had already vanished into the surrounding darkness. Which begs the question, what were they dragging and why? Unfortunately, the answer to both these questions is extremely ambiguous. For starters, it's extremely difficult to identify what exactly they were dragging. Going frame by frame, we can see what looks like the legs of another person wearing shorts and black shoes. So maybe the 2 people were trying to hide the primary evidence of their horrific crime. But in motion...
Bro, honestly, what the fuck is the point of having this dash cam if you can't see shit? You can't see shit. What are you gonna bring this to court? You can't identify anywhere. Bro. That literally looks like Gollum with some shorts on. How the fuck am I supposed to know? Dude, this looks like an extraterrestrial, not a human. They're literally yellow right now. What is this? What is the coloring fucked up too?
It looked more like an animal or something in between.
Yeah.
It could even be a life-sized plush, though that doesn't explain its very human-like proportions. Regardless of what it was, however, an equally important question is why 2 people would drag something across a highway.
Damn, bro.
On September 16th, 2018, an Uber driver from New York shared the terrifying encounter he had with an angry man on Long Island. He was about to complete a ride when, out of nowhere, another car drove past him at a very high speed while barely avoiding a collision. But before the Uber driver could even process what had happened,
is this it?
The other driver slammed on the brakes and parked in the middle of the road, blocking him from moving forward. He then got out of the car, ran over, and started bashing on the windows, telling the Uber driver to get out.
I already have my gun in my hand. It's already... right now.
What's going on?
I don't know.
It's in my hand right now.
What's that?
You blew the fucking right leg. Get the fuck out of the car right now.
I'm not getting out of the car.
Go.
You need to leave.
Just go.
You need to leave.
It's unclear if this was simply unprovoked road rage or an attempt to rob the driver and his passengers. Not wanting to find out the answer, the Uber driver made the correct decision and backed up to find a different route to his destination. However, there was no way for him to predict just how relentless the other driver would be. As soon as the Uber driver changed routes, the other driver got in his car as well and started chasing him no matter where he went. Things went from bad to worse as they approached a red light, which would have given the other driver a chance to catch up and do something terrible before the police arrived. But in a remarkable stroke of luck, the Uber driver found a cop already waiting on the other side of the intersection. They were able to explain the situation to the officers, resulting in the other driver getting arrested for driving while intoxicated.
Stopped the car,
he started following?
Was trying to fight with me. So I backed up and turned around, and then he was pursuing me. and these girls
Call 911.
these girls called 911,
Thank you.
and the officer pursued him.
Put simply, the other driver wasn't thinking clearly and could have been armed.
Tie your shoes, bro.
If the Uber driver had panicked when he first approached,
Someone else
all
was in
three
the
of them
car.
might have lost their lives.
Nah, there's something else going on. Why was he crashing out so hard? They were fighting too. He was on edge. That was the last straw. He's like, man, fuck it. Put it in park. There's no way he's doing that shit in those buckle jeans, bro. Yo. Unnerving. Everyone go sub to Mr. Nightmare right now. That was pretty unexplainable and shocking, disturbing, Mr. Nightmare. Thank you for that banger. YouTube. Thank you guys for enduring the unnerving compilation put together by Mr. Nightmare. Go show him some love. But until next time, peace out, baby!